All right, in the co-main event, UFC 286, Justin Gaethje defeats Rafael Fiziev in their 3-round co-main fight. Omar, let me start with you first. Man, oh man, another Justin Gaethje classic. What was your take?
I gotta say, while I was watching this fight, I was like, damn, Mike kind of called it here. This was definitely a y'all must have forgot performance because Justin Gaethje was heavy-handed. He was gigantic in there. I thought he was significantly bigger than Fiziev. I did not, even during the face-off, I didn't realize how much bigger Justin Gaethje was until they stood in that octagon together. And Fiziev held his own for sure, but the reality was the power of Gaethje was fucking crazy and an obstacle in and of itself. Not to mention you also got to deal with Gaethje's speed, his fight IQ, coming from different angles, combinations that he was putting together. And the damage was wearing on Fiziev, man. It really was. And you know, he was covered in blood by the end of that fight. His own blood, frankly. It was a great performance from Gaethje, man. I don't really know how you do much better than that. I don't know how you guys had it scored. I had it all 3 rounds for Gaethje. You know, he had Fiziev, like I said, had moments in there, but it was a wild fight for Gaethje.
Mark, give us your reaction to how this fight played out and how this fight evolved over 3 rounds, you know, culminating in a barn burner of a 3rd round and Justin Gaethje kind of running away with it.
Yeah, what a fight this thing was.
2 rounds to 1.
I know. I don't know if you saw the face I made. I was like, you definitely didn't score round 1 for Gaethje. But yeah, what a fight this thing was. Fiziev is so good, and Justin Gaethje is such a Justin Gaethje. Like, it's just, it's ridiculous. But yeah, the fight evolved. Perfect word that you just used. Round 1, Fiziev is so fast. He is landing so fast that it kind of just felt like, what is Justin Gaethje going to do? Because it looked like he was in trouble. Like, he was barely landing. Fiziev would land 2 in every exchange while Justin would kind of load up and whiff on a big wide punch. Or even worse, he would step in to throw and he would just get like immediately comboed and frozen before he even started to throw. So round 1 ends, and I'm like, oh, shit, like, this ain't going well. And Trevor Whitman nailed it in the corner about needing to tighten up. He told him, he was like, all your punches are way too wide. Keep them inside the shoulders. They're not going to land the way you're throwing them. And he was absolutely right. And as round 2 went on, Gaethje's adjustments really began. And it took him a bit, but by like the 3-minute mark, you could see he did start to tighten it up. He started to opt for strikes in tight as opposed to the big lunging shots. He got a bit more used to Fiziev's timing. He found some opportunities to slip and rip like only Justin Gaethje can do. But Fiziev battled back and forth with him all round, and he had done some real damage in the first couple minutes of round 2. It was playing out a lot like round 1 was. So, and at that point, Gaethje still wasn't doing much. So, to me, round 2 is a real toss-up round. So, if that fight had gone to Fiziev, I wouldn't have minded. I really think that round 2 was a coin toss, and I've watched it like 3 times. But as I always like to reference, pride-style scoring, Justin Gaethje won that fight because then round 3 comes, and round 3 was big. Totally. It wasn't a 10-8 as one judge scored it, which was absurd. But in terms of the overall fight picture, it was the most significant story of the fight. Justin really found his avenue to victory in this round. He had Fiziev leaking. He had him looking tired at times, eating shots, and it was from 2 adjustments, really. 1, he realized he had a jab and that the jab could be a weapon. He had not jabbed for 10 minutes, and then round 3 he comes out, and he is just sticking the jab in Fiziev's face, and I think that played a large part in why Fiziev's face looked like it did by the end of that round. And then on top of that, Justin started really working the uppercuts. Again, because Fiziev had slowed a bit, Justin had gotten a little more used to his timing, and it was letting him get inside for the little slip and rip uppercuts that Justin is so damn good at. And Fiziev was wearing it by the end. So I did think it was a close fight. I don't hate it either way. I think that round 2 was so close. But I am really impressed with the warrior that is Justin Gaethje because, like I said, after round 1, I thought he was in trouble. And he just didn't give 2 shits. he still managed to turn it into a Justin Gaethje fight and just drag Rafael Fiziev through the fire. So we'll see what's next for Gaethje, but as he said, he's trying to put together one more run here to the title.
I feel like the UFC should just have a special rule for Justin Gaethje that all Justin Gaethje fights are 5 rounds, no matter where he is on the card.
I would love that.
If he's still fighting and he's like 42 years old and he's like on the undercard again, still a 5-round fight.
Yeah.
I think for Fiziev's sake, I think it was best it was 3 rounds by the end of that.
Yeah.
Dude, I think if that was a 5-round fight, I think Gaethje gets him out of there in the 4th or 5th round.
I agree. I think the 4th round, I think it would have been it. Yeah.
He was pouring on the damage in that 3rd round. But dude, in that 1st round, Fiziev was so much faster. And
So much.
Literally beating Gaethje to the punch every time Gaethje would enter. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I was like, Gaethje's going to get knocked out because Fiziev also carries huge power.
Yes. Yeah, that's how I felt.
The body work too was, I thought, fantastic because Gaethje was headhunting while Fiziev was working the body majority of that fight. But dude, I think we talked about it last week when we were talking about the sound that Gaethje's punches make, especially when you listen to the Tony Ferguson fight. If you watch that fight happened in the empty apex, and you could hear every single bit of power behind this man's shots. And this happened in a full crowd, a full arena in the UK. And you could still fucking hear every ounce of weight behind those shots every time Justin Gaethje threw something. It's terrifying. You could hear him through that UK crowd. That's a feat. That's a feat in and of itself. It's crazy.
So after tasting defeat in what was his 2nd shot at lightweight gold, Justin Gaethje gets back in the win column with yet another classic Justin Gaethje performance. And just a side note, what a catalog this man is building and has already built in his career. 24-4 as a pro. This is only his 4th victory by decision. Think about that.
Yeah.
You want a stat, sir? You want a fun stat?
Sure.
This man, in bonuses only, this does not include any other money, bonuses only, has made over $500,000.
Wow. Holy shit.
Should be more.
Yeah, man.
I won't dispute that. But that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yes. Justin Gaethje gets the Rounders quote, pay that man his money.
Yeah. When you sign to fight Gaethje, it's like so good and bad because you're like, wow, I am going to take a fucking beating, win or lose.
Yeah.
But like, I'm definitely getting paid.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you
bonus
hope
is,
so.
It's automatic.
You hope it doesn't become a performance of the night. You get fucking starched.
True.
So what's next for Mr. Gaethje? Mark, give us a name.
I mean, he's right there as I don't want to say odd, but like obviously he's had his chances and everything, but he's still right there. I don't know what the plan is at lightweight. I know Islam is out for a bit right now. He is calling for shots at Leon, which is not going to happen right now. Maybe eventually we could see him, try to become double champ at welterweight, but it's not going to happen right now. Volk is going to fight Yair, so that's not happening right now. So you would think that Islam needs to fight someone. So is it going to be Poirier? Is it going to be the winner of Dariush and Oliveira? I don't know. One way or the other, you'd have to think Justin Gaethje is going to be fighting one of those 3 guys. Obviously, Dariush is the only one we haven't seen yet. But with Poirier, it's been 5 years now, even though it doesn't feel like that. So, hey, if that's where we're at again, then that's where we're at. I don't hate it. And there's not really – you can't go any lower than that. He's got to fight one of these guys.
Man, I would love to see that rematch because I believe the Poirier fight was the fight that changed Gaethje, wasn't it? Because he got knocked out ultimately against Poirier.
Yes.
And that's when he was like, I got to stop being so kind of
Yes.
wild and fighting with reckless abandon. And he started to fight a little bit smarter, a tiny bit more conservative. And he's been on a tear ever since, other than his 2 title losses to Khabib and to Charles.
Yep.
So he's a totally different fighter in my eyes, Justin Gaethje. And, I mean, my God, that rematch. What a rivalry between those 2 guys. So evenly matched. Omar, what do you think? Any other names or which of the 3 that Mark pointed out would you most prefer for Gaethje next?
I think the Dustin Poirier one is the one that really makes the most sense. That fight is a guaranteed banger. That's probably one that'll be fight of the night, not performance of the night alone. And like you're saying, it's been a little bit at this point. They've kind of both done some things since then, some interesting things since then. They've both lost to Charles since then. They've both gotten a win since their loss to Charles since then. Good, solid wins. So yeah, I think now is a great time to spark that one more time.
Totally. Okay, what about Fiziev? Omar, staying with you here. Rafael Fiziev, a momentary stop on the hype train that is Fiziev. He has been on a tear through the division. This loss snaps a 6-fight win streak for Fiziev. Only his second loss of his career. Record now stands at 12-2. And this is his first time ever losing on the scorecards. So at lightweight, who would you want to see Fiziev match up with next?
I feel like this is the perfect time for Fiziev versus Gamrot. I think things have lined up quite a bit where Fiziev has taken a loss against somebody ahead of him, but he doesn't really need to drop too far down. But Gamrot, off of a win with Jalen Turner, shouldn't go too far up. But Michael Chandler right now is doing the Conor McGregor thing, so he's not really up for discussion as it is. And I think it's just they're pretty close in the rankings, I would assume. I think it's the right time to do it.
Mark, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to say the Conor Chandler loser for Fiziev just because of how fun that fight would be, but that fight's not going to be for a while. It still doesn't even have a date. So I think I'm probably going to be with Omar here and say let's opt for the style clash of Fiziev and Gamrot in there.
Like it. All right, let's move on.